At the beginning of the movie, we see a rural farm and an old woman sewing while softly singing. Suddenly, she hears bottles clanking from the barn. Concerned, she goes to check and calms her restless animals. Afterward, she tends to her bedridden husband and is later seen writing something in her diary. Just then, the distant howling of wolves startles her. The scene shifts to the barn beside the house, where the animals appear frightened by something unseen. Suddenly, the bottles rattle violently, terrifying the animals. And for a brief moment, a demonic figure is visible before everything falls silent. In the next scene, the old woman is chopping vegetables in the kitchen when a chair behind her moves on its own. She turns to stare at it, but the scene cuts abruptly.
Comment. Subscribe to Recapss Horror.
It's Monday morning. The old woman's daughter, Louise, is seen opening the farm gate. She has come home to visit her ailing father. As she enters the house, her mother informs her that her brother Michael arrived a couple of hours earlier. The mother says she told them not to come, warning that they shouldn't be there. Louise then heads to the farm, where Michael is with an old man named Charlie, fixing a car tire. Later at dinner, the family seems disconnected from one another. Michael attempts to reassure his mother, but she reacts with sudden anger. When he questions her about the doctor, she insists that both siblings already know the truth. She then urges them to leave the house and storms away. That night, the siblings talk about their parents and update each other on their own lives, revealing that they have not remained in close contact. Michael mentions that he plans to stay for about a week, as they cannot leave their mother alone. Louise expresses regret about their lack of affection toward her, but Michael dismisses her concern. Later, Louise locks the front door and goes to the kitchen to get some water. Suddenly, the door creaks open on its own. Cautiously, she goes to close it, and for a brief moment, we glimpse an evil entity inside the house. She checks outside and then shuts the door again. As she walks back, her mother appears and asks, "What was it?" Louise replies, "Just the wind," but her mother clearly suspects otherwise. We then see Michael working on some paperwork while his mother chops vegetables in the kitchen. Out of nowhere, she begins to sing. Michael tells her she should get some sleep, but she insists they should leave, and it's not what they think. When Michael asks, "Then what is it?" she falls silent, and he walks away. Alone in the kitchen, she continues chopping. Suddenly, she hears a chair move. Disturbed, she starts chopping faster and faster until, in a horrifying moment, she cuts off her fingers. After a brief pause, she resumes chopping them more desperately while sobbing. The scene cuts to Tuesday morning. The kitchen is covered in blood, with severed fingers still lying there. Michael and Louise frantically search for their mother until Louise discovers her hanging in the barn. She screams for Michael, who rushes to her side. Louise brings over a tub, climbs it, and cuts the rope while Michael holds her. Now it's Wednesday. Michael and Louise are devastated by the incident. Their mother is gone. Their neighbor Charlie is deeply shaken as well, since she was his only friend in the secluded area. Soon after, we're introduced to their father's nurse. She tells them their mother often whispered strange things when she thought no one was listening. Louise asks, "What kind of things?" The nurse explains that she would sit beside their father and whisper, but it never seemed like she was talking to him. It felt as if she was speaking to someone else. Overcome with guilt, Louise decides to stay awake and keep watch over her father. Later, she enters her mother's studio and finds a mannequin covered with a white cloth. As she removes it, she discovers a wedding gown with her own name on it, which leaves her emotional. Then we see Louise trying to talk to Michael about their mother, speculating about who she might have been speaking to. But Michael dismisses the conversation and leaves angrily, saying it's pointless. The scene then cuts to Louise taking a shower when she hears the door creak and footsteps approaching. She pulls back the curtain and sees her father standing there, his eyes completely white. He urinates on himself and shakes his head violently. Terrified, Louise screams for Michael. When Michael rushes in, their father is nowhere to be found, and he sees Louise crying in the corner. Later, she tells him that their father was in the bathroom. Michael asks if she wants to talk about it, but she refuses and leaves. As Michael is about to go, a diary falls from their father's bed. He takes it to Louise and tells her he found their mother's diary. When she asks if he read it, he says he only looked at the last page. It reads, "I know he is there, in the darkness. Help me, please. He is killing David. He can't breathe anymore. There is nothing I can do to stop it. Devil, devil, devil. He wants David's soul." With that, Thursday begins. Louise and Michael are in their mother's studio. Michael questions how their mother managed to hang herself, noting the cop said she used the tub, but Louise had moved it that day. He points out she was a couple of feet in the air when they found her, and Louise admits she doesn't know. She then starts reading from their mother's diary. "The voices in my head. His voice makes me want to die. I locked the door, but he still came inside." Disturbed, Michael tells her to stop reading, but she continues. "He climbs on the bed. He hurts David. I can see him. He laughs at me. He kills me. I'm already dead." The scene shifts to them meeting the coroner, who reveals that he found several small crosses in their mother's pocket. Louise points out that their mother was never religious. That night, Louise is seen massaging her father's hand when he suddenly starts coughing. To her horror, a spider crawls out of his mouth. Startled, she frantically tries to brush it away. Just then, Michael enters and asks if everything is fine. Louise tells him she saw a spider, but then dismisses it. Later that night, Michael is sleeping when the lights in his room suddenly switch on by themselves. He wakes up, opens the room's door to check, finds no one, turns the light off, and goes back to bed. But moments later, the light flickers on again. Alarmed, he gets up once more, switches it off, and looks out the window, only to see his mother outside the house, smiling and levitating in the air. Just then, he hears her singing from inside the room, startling him. He walks to switch on the light, and we see his mother standing behind him. However, when Mike switches the lights on and turns, there is no one in the room. This marks the beginning of Friday morning. Louise wakes up and goes to the bathroom, only to find her face smeared with lipstick in the mirror. Shocked, she quickly washes it off. She rushes to her father's room and is horrified to find the lipstick tube lying in his bed. Just then, the phone rings. Nervously, Louise picks it up and hears a recording that says their phone number is no longer in service. As she hangs up, the phone rings again. This time, she hears her mother's voice say, "I told you not to come." Terrified, Louise quickly hangs up. Meanwhile, Michael returns home to find a priest standing outside their house, drenched in the rain. Michael asks if he can help him, but the man already knows Michael's name. He hands him one of the same small crosses that were found in their mother's pocket. Later, the priest is seen inside their home. He tells Michael and Louise that he knew their mother. They show him her diary, and he explains that she was scared and alone, and he used to visit her. Hearing his talk, Michael and Louise suspect that he may have been the one who put strange thoughts into their mother's head. The priest insists that she simply needed someone, that she was alone, and he helped her. Michael asks him to leave, and then asks if he truly believes the devil is out there. The priest replies, "You heard your mother's words, her warning. The devil is not out there. It's already here." With that, he leaves. Later that night, Louise heads toward the barn. Meanwhile, Michael calls his wife and tells her that he doesn't understand what Louise wants, and that he just wants to go back home. He admits that his mother was all he had left, which shows he doesn't really care about his father or his sister. Inside the barn, Louise reads her mother's diary, which says, "He is watching. He waits. He is everywhere." Suddenly, she hears the sound of glass shattering. At first, she thinks it might be Michael, but then a shadow appears behind her, growing larger before the scene cuts. We then see Louise and Michael sitting together. Louise insists their mother wasn't crazy and wonders if she really saw something. Michael admits he too experienced something real. It wasn't a dream or hallucination. He tells Louise he saw their mother standing outside his window the previous night, but it wasn't truly her. It was terrifying. That night, the siblings hear wolves howling and strange noises outside, waking Michael. He comes out of his room and finds Louise already awake. She tells him something is out there. Louise carefully moves forward and peeks through the curtain and sees the priest. Michael opens the door, and the priest urges them to come outside. Michael questions why he's there, but the priest insists Louise shines a light on his face and sees he looks demonic. He asks, "Do you want some rope?" Just then, the phone rings and the priest vanishes into thin air. Michael steps outside to check, but finds no trace of him. The phone rings again, and Michael warns Louise not to answer it. Louise goes inside, hangs up the call, and disconnects the phone line. It is revealed that their neighbor Charlie had been trying to contact them. Meanwhile, Charlie hears strange noises. Armed with a gun, he cautiously checks his living room, where he encounters the entity, this time appearing as Louise. The entity slashes itself while Charlie demands to know what it wants. Louise's apparition whispers something in his ear before accusing him. "You did this to me." Then she slits her own throat. Overcome, Charlie puts his gun in his mouth and shoots himself. Now it's Saturday morning. Michael and Louise find no footprints or trace of the priest. They decide to take their father to the hospital and leave this place. Later, a doctor visits to examine their father. He warns them not to move him to any hospital, as it's too risky. After the doctor leaves, Michael asks the nurse if she often sees people at their weakest moments. She replies that she also sees a lot of love, and that sometimes she is the only one present when someone dies. She says the worst thing in the world is for a person to die alone. Michael mentions his mother believed something was coming for him. The nurse replies that while she knows they don't believe in God, she does, and she believes there are dark, wicked things in this world that come for whoever they want. But she insists, there is love here, and a soul needs love to stay safe. The scene cuts to the animals. The herd escapes from the barn, but later, a severely injured three-legged goat returns. Michael and Louise then discover their herd has been slaughtered. Louise remarks that wolves couldn't have done this. Michael decides to call another doctor for their father, but Louise reminds him that their mother had warned them not to come. They burn the slaughtered animals, and later Louise asks how many are left. Michael says maybe 5, including a pregnant goat, and decides to care for them. He tells Louise to stay with their father while he goes to the barn. He recalls what the nurse said, that nothing is worse than a soul left to die alone. Louise admits she is scared, and Michael confesses he is too before leaving. In the barn, Michael receives a call from his wife, Becky. Suddenly, he hears metal clanking and prepares himself with a knife. Moments later, he is tormented by eerie noises, growls, and whispers echoing around him. Then, everything falls silent, and he hears his mother singing as she slowly approaches. She walks toward him, comes closer to him, and haunts him, then vanishes. She reappears, yelling, "Talk to me." Terrified, Michael collapses and starts slitting his throat, but somehow manages to stop. Louise then sees him entering the house. He is then seen in his room with knife and frightened. That night, while Louise sleeps, her bedroom door creaks open. A shadow enters, and she hears noises as if someone climbs onto her bed. An entity appears on top of her father, making growling sounds, which terrifies Louise. When she finally turns around, she sees her father stuck to the ceiling in agony. Louise freezes in fear. Her father yells, "Run away," and Louise jolts awake, realizing it was a nightmare. With this starts Sunday morning. Louise notices strange marks on her father's neck. She then searches for Michael, but can't find him. Suddenly, there is a knock at the door. Louise opens the door to find a girl, who introduces herself as Charlie's granddaughter. She says they tried calling them, but no one answered, and then informs her about Charlie's death. Hearing this, Louise is shocked. Just then, her father starts coughing, and she invites the girl inside. Suddenly, the girl's expression changes, and she says, "Do you smell him? I bet you do. He's close now. He's rotting." Alarmed, Louise rushes to check on her father, but when she returns, the girl is gone. Suddenly, she reappears behind Louise, haunting her, before vanishing again. Louise gets up, shuts the door, and tries calling Michael, but the call goes to voicemail. Just then, the nurse arrives, but Louise ignores her and dials again. The nurse notices her distress, lights a candle with an image of God on it, and places it beside Louise's father. Meanwhile, Louise tries calling Michael from the landline, and this time, he finally answers. He informs her that he has already left. Shocked, Louise demands to know why he didn't tell her and how he could abandon her. Michael explains that his wife and kids need him and that he loves them. As they argue, the nurse listens in. Suddenly, she freezes mid-knitting, and a spider crawls across her face while whispers echo around her. Meanwhile, Michael urges Louise to leave the house and save herself before hanging up. Moments later, Louise hears the nurse screaming. She rushes over and finds the nurse stabbing her own face with a knitting needle. The nurse stabs her stomach, then attacks Louise, knocking her unconscious. Dragging her into the living room, the nurse then stabs both her eyes and collapses dead. Meanwhile, Michael arrives home and is horrified to find his daughters lying dead. His wife is also lying dead nearby with a knife in her hand. Broken and overwhelmed with grief, he slits his own throat. But in his final moments, he realizes it was all an illusion, just another evil trick of the entity.
You're still watching? Good. Like, comment, and subscribe to Recapss Horror.
Tragically, at that exact moment, his real family returns, and Becky finds Michael's lifeless body and screams in horror. Back at the farmhouse, the phone rings as Louise regains consciousness. In severe pain, she insists she has to leave and apologizes to her father. She attempts to escape but falls down the stairs. Then, hearing her father cough, she cannot bring herself to leave. She returns to him, promising, "I'm here. I won't leave you." Suddenly, she hears Michael's voice calling out for help, followed by sinister whispers. Louise yells at them to get away. At that very moment, the candle lit by the nurse suddenly goes out, and her father's breathing begins to slow. Louise tearfully tells him she loves him, and once again vows not to abandon him. As she stays beside him, she senses a dark presence in the house. Her father exhales his final breath and dies. Overcome with grief, Louise breaks down, crying uncontrollably. In that instant, Louise hears her mother's voice softly singing. Suddenly, the entity seizes her from behind, and her terrified scream echoes through the farmhouse. With that, the movie ends. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.